What if I told you that most of your suffering comes from living a life that's never truly been questioned? We're living in strange times. We've never had more access to information. Everything is at our fingertips, instant, endless, overwhelming. And yet, we've never stopped asking ourselves so little. We hustle, we achieve, we scroll, we chase goals. But most of the time, we don't even know why. We're alive, but not awake. Busy, but not intentional. Present, but only on paper. And that's where a name comes back. A name from over 2,500 years ago. A name philosophy never forgot. Socrates. Socrates had no wealth, no status, no platform. But he had one obsession: to live with awareness. And he left us with one of the sharpest, most powerful phrases in all of human thought. The unexamined life is not worth living. He wasn't being poetic, he meant it. So today, we're hitting pause. On the noise, on the autopilot, on the expectations. We're going to slow down and come back to what actually matters. In this video, you'll discover what it really means to examine your life, why this practice could radically shift your direction, and how you can start doing it simply, powerfully, right now. Because here's the truth. What Socrates taught thousands of years ago might just be the one thing we've lost today. The thing that could finally wake us up. Ready to ask the right questions? Let's begin. Part 1. Who was Socrates and why his ideas still matter today? Picture this: an old man, barefoot, penniless, bearded. No titles, no status, but powerful enough to shake an entire city just by asking questions. That man was Socrates. He lived over 2,400 years ago in ancient Athens. He owned nothing. He never wrote a single book. And yet, he changed everything. Every day, he walked the streets and public squares, stopping strangers, challenging the wealthy, questioning politicians, not to shame them, but to wake them up. Because Socrates believed something radical. Most people live without ever truly thinking. They follow tradition. They inherit beliefs. They move through life on autopilot, never pausing to ask, is this really true? Where did I get this idea? Who told me this was normal? So Socrates asked questions again and again, until the person in front of him realized they didn't actually know what they thought they knew. And from that came another timeless line: I know that I know nothing. It wasn't sarcasm, it was humility. And that humility is where real wisdom begins. But the more he challenged the powerful, the more dangerous he became. Eventually, the city turned on him. They accused him of corrupting the youth, put him on trial, and sentenced him to death. He could have escaped. They offered him exile, but he refused. He drank the poison calmly, without regret, because he had lived his life in total alignment with his truth. Why does any of this matter today? Because we live in a world obsessed with certainty. We think we know. We think we're informed. But deep down, we barely know ourselves. We've mastered how to make a living, but forgotten how to actually live. We chase goals, but have no real direction. So let me ask you, when was the last time you questioned your own beliefs, really deeply? Not just what you think, but why you think it. Write it in the comments. I genuinely love to know if you've ever had a Socrates moment. If this story moves you, if it echoes something you've felt deep down for a long time, like the video. It might seem small, but it helps this message reach the people who need it. And if you're not just here to watch, but to grow, to challenge your own thinking and evolve, subscribe to the channel. This is only the beginning. Part 2. What does it mean to live an examined life? An unexamined life is not worth living. It's one of the most powerful and radical statements ever made in philosophy. Socrates wasn't saying that a life without wealth, status, or romance is meaningless. He was saying a life without deep questioning is a life you're not really living. So what does it mean to examine your life? It's not just about having deep thoughts in the shower. It means living with awareness. It means questioning your beliefs, your choices, your routines. It means being brutally honest with yourself and asking, am I living by my own values or someone else's? Are the things I chase actually making me happy? Do I even know who I am beyond the roles I play? These aren't comfortable questions, but they're where real freedom begins. Not the external kind, but the internal kind. Why Socratic ignorance is real strength. Socrates never claimed to be wise. He simply said, I know that I know nothing. At first glance, that sounds like a paradox, but it's a deep insight. What holds us back the most in life is not what we don't know. It's what we think we know, but never actually questioned. How many times have you acted on beliefs you never stopped to examine? I'm just not cut out for this. I need to be productive to have value. If I'm not successful by 30, it's too late. Stop. Pause. Those are not facts, they're stories. And when you finally admit you don't know, that's the moment learning begins. That's the moment truth can enter. The Socratic method, asking the real questions. Socrates didn't preach. He didn't lecture. He asked questions again and again and again, not to win an argument, but to cut through the fog of assumptions. He asked, what is courage? What is justice? What is happiness? Do you even really understand what you're saying? And when people tried to answer, he gently pulled the thread until their logic unraveled, not to humiliate them, but to show them how little they truly understood. A classic Socratic dialogue inspired by the Apology. Picture this. Socrates meets a powerful politician known for his wisdom. He asks, tell me, what is justice? Justice? Well, it's doing good. And what is good? It's following the law. So everything that's legal is always just? Not exactly. So maybe justice isn't just about obeying the law. And slowly the man stumbles, because he had never truly examined what he believed. And what if we did that today? Imagine if, instead of scrolling endlessly or chasing validation, you paused to ask yourself real questions. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Who am I outside of my job, my appearance, my Instagram feed? What do I define as success, and where did that definition come from? These questions might shake you, but that's the point. Real growth isn't about adding more. It's about removing what's false. Your turn to think. Take a minute right now. Answer this question in the comments. What's one belief you've never truly questioned until now? Maybe it's about who you think you are. Maybe it's a rule you inherited from family or society. Maybe it's a fear that's been running the show. Write it down. Name it. Because what you name, you can change. If this message sparked something in you, like the video. That's how this kind of content reaches people who actually need it. And if you want to keep exploring powerful, timeless ideas like this, subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who needs to wake up. We're just getting started. This journey, it's yours now. Part 3. The Hidden Enemies of the Examined Life. Let's be honest. If living a deeply examined life were easy, everyone would be doing it. But most people don't. Why? Because it's uncomfortable, because it demands courage, because it forces us to face things we'd rather avoid. Along the way, you'll run into 3 major obstacles. 1. The fear of truth. You know what most people fear more than failure or rejection? Facing the truth they've been avoiding, not the dramatic truths, the subtle ones. The ones that whisper in the quiet. You might be living out of alignment with who you really are. Truth is disruptive. It shatters the mask. It tells you bluntly, you've built your life on things that don't truly matter to you. Socrates knew this. He asked the kind of questions that make people squirm because they reveal. But here's the hard part. Asking yourself honest questions might show you that you're not where you need to be. And facing that, it's terrifying. Sometimes it just feels safer to stay in the illusion. 2. Social pressure. The moment you start questioning your life deeply, you stop fitting into the mold. People around you might not get it because society keeps repeating. Be productive, stay busy, fit in. But Socrates didn't fit in. He challenged norms. He was sentenced to death, not for violence, not for theft, but for getting young people to think for themselves. Today, they don't serve you hemlock. They serve you something subtler. Mockery. Oh, so you're a philosopher now. Distance. You're overthinking everything. Just live a little. Judgment. Is this another existential crisis or what? But here's the truth. The ones who dare to think deeply eventually live differently. 3. The culture of image and constant performance. In a world built on speed, performance, and digital distraction, self-reflection seems useless, even indulgent. Why sit with your thoughts when you can scroll, when you can post, when you can get dopamine from likes? But here's the secret. Reflection doesn't go viral. Slowing down doesn't earn applause. Examining your beliefs won't get you followers. And still, it's the only path to a meaningful life. In today's world, choosing self-inquiry is an act of resistance, a quiet rebellion, because it means slowing down in a world obsessed with speed, asking why when everyone's chasing more, refusing to live a copied life. Let's get real. Let's be honest with each other. Which of these 3 obstacles shows up most in your life right now? Fear of facing the truth? Pressure to conform? Or addiction to image and performance? Drop it in the comments. Naming the obstacle is the first step to dismantling it. This isn't about perfection. It's about consciousness. And that starts now. Part 4. Death and the Examined Life. The Final Mirror. When Socrates was sentenced to death, he didn't beg. He didn't panic. He didn't try to escape. He remained calm, almost serene, because he knew one thing with certainty. He had lived with intention. In Phaedo, one of Plato's last dialogues, Socrates shares a powerful idea. The true philosopher practices dying, not in a morbid or depressive sense, but in a radically honest one. Death as the ultimate test. For Socrates, death wasn't the end, it was a final exam, a moment of truth. He believed that when you've spent your life in search of what's true and just, death holds no terror. If you've lived consciously, you can die without regret. And in that sense, death becomes not a punishment, but a quiet liberation. Death gives life its weight. The Stoics had a phrase, memento mori, remember, you will die. Socrates didn't say it like that, but he lived by it. Why bring up death? Because it's one of the few things that cuts through the noise. When you realize your time is limited, you stop wasting it. You stop running from the hard questions. You stop numbing yourself with distractions. You begin to live on purpose. That's what Socrates meant. He didn't fear death because he had nothing to hide from it. A line worth meditating on. A man who dies without ever questioning his life never really lived it. It's blunt, but it's true. Reflect and act. Here's your question right now. If you had 1 year to live, what would you regret not understanding, not facing, or not doing? Write it in the comments. Not for the algorithm, for you. That's how an examined life begins, with a real question and an honest answer. Like this video if it shook you up or brought you back to what matters. Subscribe to the channel if you want more weekly content that doesn't just inform, but transforms. Because life is short, and the examined life is the only one worth living. Part 5. Living the Examined Life. 3 Practical Pillars. You've seen by now, Socrates didn't want admiration. He wanted something far more radical, for us to wake up, to become human beings who reflect, who question, who live in alignment with what they discover inside themselves. But how do we actually do that today? Here are 3 simple yet powerful pillars to begin living the examined life. 1. Ask real questions. The first step is this: unlearn the habit of giving answers. Relearn the art of asking. Socrates didn't teach by lecturing. He asked questions again and again and again, because he believed truth doesn't live in rehearsed answers, but in the courage to question deeply. All I know is that I know nothing. That's not just humility, it's a method. So ask yourself, am I living my life or just the life others expect of me? Are my choices driven by fear or by truth? What do I pretend to know that I've never actually examined? Practical tip. Start each morning by writing down one honest question in a journal. Then live your day with that question in mind. Let it guide you. 2. Spot your conditioning. Socrates believed most of us live in illusion, and the most dangerous one is this: thinking we're free when we're actually following invisible scripts. Take a step back, ask yourself, your opinions, are they really yours? Your desires, do they come from within or from what you scroll through? Your reactions, are they conscious or just old habits playing out? Know thyself. It's not a quote for Instagram bios, it's inner detective work. Try this today. Notice one moment where you acted out of habit. Then ask, why did I react like that? Trace it back. You'll start seeing your own programming. 3. Live in alignment with your values. Knowing is one thing. Living what you know, that's courage. Socrates didn't just talk about justice, he lived it, even when it cost him everything. Start here. Identify your real values. Not the ones you post, the ones you actually live when no one's watching. Then ask, do my actions match my words? Do my choices reflect what I say I believe? Am I becoming someone I can respect? Challenge. Pick one core value this week: honesty, courage, simplicity, and make one decision every day based on that value. Just one, but do it consciously. Drop a comment. Which of these 3 pillars will you start with? 1, 2, or 3? No long explanation needed, just a number. But make the choice. Because living an examined life isn't about knowing more, it's about becoming more, one honest step at a time. Part 6. How to truly examine your life in 2025. Socrates wasn't just telling us to think. He was pointing to something more urgent. Living without self-inquiry isn't really living, it's just surviving. And maybe this truth is more relevant today than ever. Why this practice is more vital than ever. We're living in the age of noise. Constant distractions, notifications, deadlines, performances, appearances. Every day the world tells you, do more, move faster, become someone. But it rarely asks you, are you aligned with your true self? Have you ever questioned why you want what you want? Do you even know who you are beneath the roles and routines? In today's world, an unexamined life doesn't just go unnoticed, it becomes unbearable. It often shows up as that strange emptiness, even when things look good on paper. That quiet voice asking, what's the point? That soul-deep exhaustion, not from working hard, but from living on autopilot. It's what people feel in burnout, midlife shifts, and silent everyday discontent. And this is where philosophy isn't just interesting, it becomes survival. Tools for the Examined Life 2025 edition. Here are 3 simple but powerful practices for bringing Socratic wisdom into your modern life. 1. The Daily Self-Discovery Journal. Every evening, take 5 minutes. Open your journal and ask just one question. What did I learn about myself today? It could be an emotion, a reaction, a thought, a doubt. It doesn't have to be profound. It just has to be honest. You shift from living unconsciously to observing your inner world. Every insight becomes a seed of clarity. 2. The Socratic question. Why do I believe this? Whenever you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, I have to succeed quickly, people will think I'm a failure. Stop, breathe, then ask, why do I believe that? And keep asking, again and again. Use the 5 whys method. I have to succeed fast. Why? Because I'm behind. Why do I feel behind? Because others are moving faster. Why does their pace define me? Etc. Eventually, you'll uncover a wound, a fear, or a story you've never consciously questioned. 3. The weekly silence ritual. Socrates didn't rush. He paused. He listened. He inquired. Reclaim that stillness. Once a week, set aside 30 minutes. No phone, no tasks, just you, a notebook, and a question. What am I avoiding by staying busy? What part of myself am I unwilling to face? What truth do I keep postponing? This is where you reconnect with your inner space. This is where transformation begins. 2 real-life stories. Deep lifestyle. 1. The hollow success. Sarah is 32. She has the job, the title, the 6-figure salary, but every evening, anxiety, a constant feeling of being lost, unfulfilled. That's the cost of an unexamined life. One night, she writes in her journal, "What if I'm chasing a version of success I don't even want?" That one question shifted everything. She didn't quit everything overnight. She simply began the real work, facing her truth, asking better questions. Today, she guides others through the same process, but it all started with one moment of honesty. 2. The burnout awakening. Kevin had been grinding for 15 years until burnout stopped him cold. At first, it felt like failure, then like freedom. During his forced break, he reads Socrates' Apology. One line hits him like lightning. It is not death we should fear, but living wrongly. He starts journaling. He redefines what a good life means for him. He's not perfect, but he's present, aware, aligned. Your turn. What's a belief you stopped blindly accepting, or one you're just starting to question? Drop it in the comments. Your honesty might help someone else open their eyes. If this message spoke to you, if these tools are helping you think more deeply about your own life, like the video. That helps it reach the people who need it. Subscribe now, and each week you'll get timeless wisdom made practical. Because this isn't just a channel, it's your space to slow down, to reflect, to choose a conscious life. Conclusion: take back control of your life. You've just spent 20 minutes reflecting, but the real work doesn't happen here. It starts right now. Because Socrates wasn't just a thinker, he was a teacher of how to live. Key takeaways: Socrates doesn't hand you answers, he teaches you how to think. The unexamined life is not worth living. Not because life is bad, but because an unexamined life is unconscious, automatic, and empty of meaning. Living an examined life is a practice. It's not about perfection or dogma, it's a path to greater clarity. And this path isn't only for philosophers, it's essential for every one of us, now more than ever. A challenge to look within. So here's the real question for you. When was the last time you truly examined your life? Not just thought about it, not just felt it, but really examined it, with honesty, with courage. What are the beliefs you've been repeating for years without ever questioning them? A simple step you can take today. If this masterclass struck a chord with you, don't stop here. Do something right now, in this moment. Start a reflection journal. You don't need to be a writer, just honest. Begin with this simple question: what am I doing in my life out of habit rather than choice? Take 10 minutes today, put your phone on airplane mode, and write. No filters, no masks. Socrates gave his life for speaking the truth. You have the chance to change yours by living more consciously. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need all the answers. But you can choose right now to stop living on autopilot. If this masterclass moved you, like this video. It helps get this message out and shows you want more deep content. Subscribe to get powerful, meaningful reflections every week, not to distract you, but to help you grow. And above all, share this video with someone you respect, someone who deserves to take back control of their life. And don't forget to turn on the bell so you never miss a new video. Thanks for listening all the way through. That's no small thing. You're part of those who've chosen to think differently, and that already is a revolutionary act. See you soon in the next masterclass right here on Deep Life Lessons.